I'll give you the go when everything is.
Okay. Is the presentation up?
We are live, and the presentation will be on in a second.
Enzo is in the live.
And the presentation will be on in a second.
Okay. I can see it now. So we're good to go?
No, we have a technical issue. 1 second.
So Gustavo, just let me know.
It's all yours. Go for it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, partners, and sponsor, I would like to welcome all of you to the grand final event of our competition, Venezuela Energy Solutions for the Future. I am Enzo Concha, competition director, and with these opening remarks, the grand final has officially started. Here is what you should expect in the following 90 to 120 minutes. Next, please. After my opening remarks, we're going to go in a cycle of Q&A with each of the student teams. So we're going to be welcoming one team at a time, and we're going to be doing this 6 times. So all our judges are going to be asking questions to our teams. And then after minimum 3 questions, maximum 4 questions, if time allows, that particular session with that team will end. Judges will need to input those scores and take notes. So we're going to use that time when they're putting that scores down and make a presentation from our sponsors and partners. That will be around 3 minutes. That will be one cycle. And we're going to repeat this 6 times because we have 6 teams. After we finish all these Q&A sessions, we're going to go with some remarks from our special guests. In the meantime, judges are going to be in a breakout room delivering about all the scores they had and how to be organized and rank all the teams in the competition. Finally, those judges are going to come back, and then John Marie Blanco, the representative of the students, are going to be doing closing remarks. Knowing that we have already the final results, we're going to give the stage to the master judge out of the breakout room, and that person will deliver the results. Competition will be over immediately after. Next. I would like to start by thanking all our sponsors and partners. Circo was key on providing what you're going to be actually enjoying after all this final. Every one of you, our students, teams, are coming out of this final with some prize. We are very proud of your job, and you should be thanking as well of Circo for allowing this to happen. As well, our partners have been key. Switch Energy Alliance provided the format, provided the resources. Scott Tinkerstar with key actually in helping us with their organization to provide you this platform and this competition. BAPA, Venezuelan American Petroleum Association, and the members you see there, Carlos Moreno, Carlos Sanchez, and Milton, has been key advisors on providing the case and the prompt that you work on. Next, please. Gente Capaz provided the organization component of the competition, and the rest of our volunteers have provided incredible amount of work, time, and motivation to pull this through. So we would like to thank you, all these individuals, and still today, helping you to conquer all the challenge through all this time that you spend in the competition. As well, we would like to thank other individuals that help us through during the competition. They jump along, and they were key in certain components of the competition to make sure that the work was spread out. Thank you, Annabella, Herman, and Saudi. Next, please. Let's see about the journey that our teams took during this month of competition. We pretty much announced the competition and we make it public on March 29. We give about 3 weeks for teams to register, and we were really proud to receive 75 registrations in our competition, more than 250 students, 16 countries cover all this. As well, we got more than 110 professionals registering as mentors and semifinal judges. This professional cover a whole range of 5 years in the industries to 50 years in the industries. People even in retirement come to help us out with this. We provided at the start of the competition to these 75 teams a prompt, the Venezuela overview, and what is the challenge about? And we asked them to deliver a plan in 30 years about how Venezuela can shoot for a prosperous future based on energy and all the use of the resources they have. Next. Our judges help us greatly to judge and evaluate all the 52 video submissions that we received out of the 75. This is a very high turnout, as it's close to 70%. Only 3 countries actually didn't make it to this submission. And we were gonna talk a little bit more about this at the end. Thanks to these 80 semifinal judges, every team had more than 5 evaluations, independent evaluations. Next, please. At the end, we are in a competition. We needed to select the best performing teams, and these best performing teams are the 6 finalists you have today, representing 4 countries as they register on this competition. Next, please. We need to thank all our mentors and semifinal judges. They are key as well, key components on this competition to deliver this final today. We have people volunteering only for mentorship, other people volunteering only for semifinal judging, and a lot, the list is very long, doing both volunteering roles. Thank you, all of you. Next, please. And we have the 6 finalists. Congratulations to all these teams that we have already today. You're gonna have an amazing event today. We are sure about that because we have seen the fabulous job that you did with your presentations. Definitely a lot of thoughts. You cover a lot of aspects and you brought a lot of innovations and good ideas on this. So we are really excited to have you today. And of course, you're gonna be facing 5 distinguished experts as judges, and they are gonna be a little bit more inquisitive on the search for better understanding of your proposals. Next, please. Our final judges, we have 5 in total, and they'll definitely cover a whole spectrum in the industry, covering all from oil and gas business, oil and gas, subsurface, technical integration. And we also included in the table, making sure that we are covering the sustainability component, stakeholder management, and green energy. So you had a very diverse final judging table, and we are really proud of having all these volunteers helping us today. Thank you so much, final judges. Next, please. Here is the final motivation and the real reason why we are all here today. It is all about us. Us means no one is left behind. Everyone has a part on this, and there is no possibility of success if we don't work together. Sharing and working towards a collective vision. That's why we are here not only to celebrate these 16s, but to the whole community engaged in this competition that goes across multiple generations, technical experiences, cultural backgrounds, and geographies. In this competition, we had teens that were first generation to reach college education because decades ago, the rural villages saw for the first time distributed electricity. We had teams with members that had to withdraw because their members fell sick through the pandemic, or hopes of fast recovery to them. We had teams facing random blackouts and unreliable internet services, and none of these circumstances prevented these teams to submit their videos. That is a very strong message of resilience, grit, and motivation. We are proud of your work, and today we celebrate you as well. With those ingredients, the many paths ahead for all these teams can only bring success. So please keep it up. That is a great reminder that our energy challenges are human challenges. And these are different in every corner of the world, requiring different solutions and pathway from its origin. Many thanks to all for contributing to this valuable discussion. Please, now I'm gonna concede the floor to our first moderator, Eduardo Alvarez. Thank you for here, Eduardo. Thank you.
Thank you, Enzo, so much for that great introduction. I think it sets the floor perfectly for the rest of this final, which we're all very excited about. I have the pleasure, first of all, of welcoming to the stage team number 10, which is going to be Team Bet. You guys will have, again, 12 minutes to get through this section. I'll go ahead and start the timer now. And if you guys could please give a brief introduction, an executive summary. You guys have about 2 minutes for that, and then you guys can transition over to the judges for your questions.
Perfect. Just to check, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. We are the BET team. That stands for Bacteria Enhanced Technology. Our team is composed by Javier Pulido, who studies electronic engineering, Stefania Galeano, who is a biology student, Luis Peroso, who studies telecommunications engineering, and myself, Aitana Garcia, I study electronic engineering. Our mentor is Emiro Vázquez.
Now, regarding the executive summary, we took the criteria from the competition and we used our phases from our project to respond to each pillar. On economy, we have low investment in the reactivation phase and GDP growth happening immediately. In the diversification phase, we have our peak GDP growth, and in the amplification phase, we have market expansion. In the environment, we have CO2 emissions reducing from the very first moment. And then in the diversification, we're gonna have abundant resource use from our sustainable practices. And the amplification phase, we're gonna be having carbon-free productions and catching polluting agents.
In terms of governance and society, what we want to do in the reactivation phase is having a direct impact on the people to then, on the diversification and amplification phases, have investment opportunities for Venezuela and helping rural communities and decreasing the diseases and having higher quality air. And the infrastructure and tech part, our first priority is having the current infrastructure we have in the country, having minor research and development on bacteria to then move to new infrastructure and new capabilities.
If we look at our timeline, we're going to introduce heavier recovery and bioenergy production to reactivate the economy and increase our GDP. With that increased income, we're going to diversify our energy sources with newer technology and cleaner technology as wastewater conversion and hydrogen production. Then those technologies are going to serve as a platform to amplify our scope to introduce innovative technologies in transportation and in industrial power. We bet on Venezuela, bet on us.
Thank you so much. So we'll transition over to the judges now. Excellent executive summary, starting with Tomas Mata. Tomas, you have the floor for your first question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, very good. Excellent. You mentioned in your presentation, in your video, that the dissociation of hydrocarbons will make Venezuela a very big player in the fast-growing market of the hydrogen economy. Could you elaborate on how can we fast-track the necessary innovations to achieve this with the BET proposal? which is largely betting on microbial technology. Please.
Yes, we are going to use an indigenous bacteria that is already in our oil wells, and we are going to genetic modify it so it can dissociate hydrocarbons in a faster way. So it can produce hydrogen from hydrocarbons and let carbon within the oil well, so it doesn't produce CO2 emissions. The idea is to take advantage of the bacteria that is in the oil wells so we can produce a cleaner energy without a big investment as steam reform.
Very good. And what kind of innovations can you do to accelerate this?
Yeah, the idea is to take like samples from the oil wells to see which bacteria works better in our oil because it has different characteristics. Preliminary studies in Japan shows that it can produce at least 50,000 kilograms per day, a big colony that have at least 2 years grown. So the idea is to take samples from the oil wells and do studies about them, how they behave, and try to expand their colonies with yield so they can grow faster in the oil well and they can produce more hydrogen that can be used in a production stage.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tomas, and thank you, team. Next question is from Irene. You have the floor.
Hi, guys. How are you? My question goes like this. What are the infrastructure and human capital challenges and complexities you envision for the implementation of the BED plan in a country where most infrastructure, especially in the oil, energy, and education sectors, are so deteriorated?
Okay, so, well, our first, we know that the infrastructure is not in the best stage today. But what we want to do is like having the current infrastructure, for instance, heavy oil recovery doesn't need much investment on the oil camps. So what we do is having the bacteria that is already there with minor investment. And for the part of human capital, we do know that we don't have the best capabilities yet to do this. I mean, at the moment, Venezuela is not in the best moment, but we do have some universities, some as UCV and ULA, that can still have some power by producing bacteria that can help us with this project. And we also are expecting to have technology transfer with other countries that might be able to help Venezuela on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene. The next question is going to come from Temur. You have the floor.
Thank you. Very fascinating, the whole idea. It's a little bit different from the field that I'm working. In any case, I have a specific question. One, how do you see the long-term impact on climate and quality of life from burning of biofuels? And actually, even more specifically, their expansion of biofuels utilizing plants, for example, forces agriculture to divert land from the food crops to fuel crops. And the like situation in US with ethanol was a clear example of that, where it led to the increase of price of corn. And as a consequence, the prices of meat and other products went up, and it kind of destabilized the whole agricultural market.
Right. Thank you for your question. So basically, the project is divided into 3 stages. It is because first, we're going to be trying to reactivate our economy using heavy oil recovery. Now, on the part of biofuels production, we understand the concern on having crops used for fuel instead of food. But Venezuela is presenting a very competitive advantage with the rest of countries that are working with biofuels, in the sense that our climatic conditions provide us with an opportunity to produce those crops and develop the production in a way that is improved from our also biotechnological improvement. And that way, we're not only going to be covering the fact that biofuels can boost our economy and diversify our oil-dependent economy, but it will also be covering the fact that with the production of this improvement, we're not gonna be having any trouble covering up for the energy that is produced and the carbon emissions that it might be entitled with. So in the ethanol specifics, we're going to be working with second generation fuels. So we're not going to be using corn. We're going to be using lignogenic crops, which are abundant in our country, and our climate conditions provide us with the opportunity to produce them at large scale in lands that are currently not used for food crops. So we're not going to be replacing food crops with crops used for biofuels. We're going to be using the lands that are ideal for that production, and we're going to be boosting our economy that way.
Thank you. But the market reacts in a way where they cover more lands if they see there's more profitability in producing fuel crop versus a food crop. And that's what happened in the US. So you may decide that here's the land that we're going to allocate for that, but the farmers may see, okay, well, here's more money there. Do I have a freedom to, plant a fuel crop as opposed to a food crop? So that's one part of the question. The other part was there as a burning of the fuel itself, the long-term impact there. So if you could please address that.
Sure. So for the first question, specifically on having farmers deciding whether they have food crops or crops decided for production of biofuels, we will not let that decision to the reactors, in that sense, to the farmers, because everything in the economy is right now entitled to a political control. So with that control, we're trying to create these phases in a way that this biofuel production does not overcome any other possible or potential food production that is currently not happening in the country. So what we want is to make these lands something of. So we're going to take advantage of those lands, and therefore the market's going to be redirected naturally to the biofuel production. And on the second part of burning these biofuels and creating pollution that way, VET not only is focusing on biofuel production, we also have other different innovations that are trying to make carbon zero productions. And with that way, we're going to be compensating the fact that biofuels are going to be burning in our country. So it's sort of like finding a balance, a realistic balance in which economy can be reactivated and diversified, and we can also amplify our innovations to reach a near carbon zero goal.
Thank you.
Actually, to complement Mia, we saw that yes, sometimes markets fluctuate and these lands can be reallocated to these biofuels, but that happened in countries who doesn't have enough lands. We saw a case study of Malaysia. They started to implement biofuels in their country, and actually they also boosted agriculture. So it was amazing. They tried to implement biofuels, and the agriculture saw an increase of 5% GDP annually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have just under 40 seconds just for this last question. So Lorna, I'll hand over to you and Team BT. You guys have a short period of time there to answer that.
Sure, thank you. It's a very interesting proposal. I'm mostly curious about what you see as some of the key challenges for scaling up biofuel technology at the scale that's needed to really underpin an energy revolution.
Okay, for us, the key challenges are, of course, start reactivating the oil wells we have in the country. That's our first step, reactivation. And then we will have to find these laboratories, and we are sure that we can find them in universities, and we can start working with these universities to help us not only to start with biofuel production, but also implement biofuel production improvement by engineering these metabolic pathways of these microorganisms to have even more GDP growth with this technology.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Team Bet. You guys did a phenomenal job, and unfortunately, we're out of time now for your section. So I'll ask you guys to step off the virtual stage. And actually, we're going to have a quick message from one of our sponsors. That sponsor is going to be Citgo. And we'll take a quick pause there also for the judges to deliberate on some of your responses. Thank you.
Sorry, we have some technical issues with the video, but I suggest we move to the next station where we'll share this video shortly. Okay,
thank you so much. Yeah, you know, it's really hard to anticipate some of those things, so I appreciate you, Gustavo, for letting us know. You know, earlier than anticipated, we're going to go ahead and welcome Team CanRock to the stage. Same kind of situation here. Team CanRock, you guys will have about 2 minutes to introduce yourselves and give a quick executive summary. Following that executive summary, you're going to have 4 questions from the team, and I will start your 12-minute timer now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We're Team CanRock from Canada, and we're a bunch of geoscience students from the University of Calgary. So my name is Colin Arfison. I'm here with my teammates Dilpreet Kara, Mateo Rolonzo, and Hasid Khalid. And a shout out to our mentor, Elias Kazabji. He was really great. For our solution, we looked at addressing a few different challenges, which can be seen here on the left. We wanted to come up with the most reliable and environmentally friendly solution. To accomplish this, we focused on closed-loop geothermal, enhanced oil recovery, hydrogen, crypto, responsible mining, and low carbon oil and gas. This chart people have seen before, so I won't dive too deep, but basically we have 4 logical phases. Phase 1 is proof of concept and change. So a big part of this phase is we want to show the world that change is being made and to lift sanctions. Phase 2 is energy security. So by diversifying Venezuela's energy mix, especially with baseload geothermal, this will make sure there's no more blackouts. And then for phase 3, we want to eliminate a majority of the huge debt. And then phase 4, we want to work towards achieving net zero. And below that is a qualitative look at what we think the energy mix will look like. For regional implementation, I'm excited to talk about this because we had to cut it out before. So for the gray region, the Maracaibo lowlands and northern mountains, a big goal of ours for this region is to implement closed-loop geothermal near demand centers. And if you look at the 2 maps in the bottom right, the high heat flow values align almost perfectly with bigger towns and cities. So that's pretty convenient. For our next region, which is the wide plains, this is where we want to do majority of EOR and hydrogen production and converting gas that would normally be flared into electricity for crypto mining. And also there are basins here, so we can put more geothermal. And then for the Guyana Highlands, we want to power the mining arc with clean geothermal energy from the adjacent plains region to start. But after a few years of tech maturing, we want to hook it up directly to the mines. By creating many opportunities in other emerging sectors for workers of all skill sets, this will hopefully reduce the pressure to irresponsibly extract resources from this region, and people won't feel pressure to go into illegal mining, for example, just to make a living. Anticipated challenges would be like political instability, regulatory uncertainty, or even like cost of development. But we don't think anything can be, or nothing is not doable. So.
All righty, thank you so much, Cole. Appreciate that excellent introduction. So I'm going to hand it over to our judges now for your questions. As of right now, you guys have about 9 minutes. Starting with Lorena, you have the stage.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for organizing this. Excellent job, guys. So, Venezuela is in the midst of one of the most severe humanitarian crises in the history of the Americas. How your plan will mitigate this crisis in the short term? That's my question.
Thank you. I can take a swing at answering this, and then if anybody else wants to chime in to piggyback, you're able to on my team. So short term, we want to focus on basically setting up our regulatory frameworks and also proof of work basically demonstration projects for some of the emerging tech. But during that time, we really want to focus on enhanced oil recovery as well. And also for the heavy oil industry, there's certain, I don't know if I'd call them companies, but basically like organizations like COSIA in Canada, which stands for Canadian Oil Sands Innovative Alliance, that we really want to share technology and best practices with to really get the heavy oil industry in Venezuela running, but also very low carbon. And so, and I worked at Suncor for like one of my internships, and they're one of the biggest heavy oil producers in Canada. And so they're involved with COSIA, and honestly, there's crazy technology development going on. One of the things they're even looking at is using like supernovas to image the subsurface for like 4D seismic to look at steam chambers. And I think that would be a big part of the startup for us. I don't know if anybody on my team wants to add.
Yeah, I think to address like that humanitarian crisis as well, it's the initial act of inviting foreign investments will allow other countries to see the opportunities of money influx. So if Venezuela allows that money influx from foreign countries and kind of shifts away from the nationalization of industries, then you'd have some money to trickle down to the people to address that humanitarian crisis.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much. Next, I'll welcome to the stage Lorna for her question.
Well, you must have anticipated my question because it was largely about the regional diversification, which wasn't shown in your original presentation. So I thank you for the follow-up. But my question was really around, again, how do you see geothermal, but given the costs right now, expanding to cover a large proportion of the country so that you can ensure that the economic and energy security is widely diversified across Venezuela?
That's a good question. So for closed loop geothermal anyways, which is a super up and coming technology, that company that we showed a case study of Ever, they just got a $40 million investment from BP and Chevron. And so there's a lot of people that are really high on it. In terms of like feasibility, generally for geothermal, you want to get around like 100 degrees for your bottom hole temperature. And so if you assume like 25, 30 degrees Celsius per kilometer going down, like an average temperature gradient, you're going to want to get to like 3-ish kilometers depth. And so there's plenty of places in basins in Venezuela that's achievable. If you look at the regional geology, like more of the northwest part of Venezuela is like sedimentary rock. And so obviously that's way easier to drill through. And so for closed loop geothermal, the biggest like challenge is the cost of drilling. But there's many projects around the world, especially at Utah Forge, and also in Iceland, and I think it's Austria, that they're working on drilling through like igneous rocks or more crystalline rocks. So that would be a challenge in putting it sort of in the southeast part of the country. But to start off right away, there's already demonstration projects in Canada of it working and like the technology's feasibility. And so it's really doable probably right away. And you can reuse a lot of existing, like drilling pads or drilling equipment. But for drilling technology, even it's really, really fastly reducing in costs. And so if you look at the Lazard paper from 2020, the cost of drilling is actually decreasing at a rate quicker than the cost of solar or wind, like producing solar panels or wind turbines is reducing. And that's because you have new drilling technologies like percussion hammer drilling. And even they're looking at like using lasers, which is interesting, but with that, the energy consumption to power a laser to drill a borehole is not ideal, but it's definitely really promising. So you can put it just about anywhere. You don't need like volcanoes or anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorna. So I'll invite to the stage now Irene for her question.
Hi, guys. Well, it was fascinating for me to learn that we have such a geothermal energy source potential in Venezuela. I just didn't know that. And I'm fascinated with that idea. Now, what amount of investment in infrastructure, research and development, and human capital would be needed to develop the geothermal potential of the sedimentary basins in Venezuela, and how that investment would be incentivized to make it a reality?
Yeah, so also good question. For an Everloop or a closed loop geothermal plant, all it is basically 2 horizontal wells that are drilled at a distance apart and then connected in the middle with this like magnetic ranging technology. And so if you're able to drill a horizontal well, you can implement closed loop geothermal. And so you might need to converse with some of the people up in Canada that is like working at that company to like implement their technology. But there's also other closed loop systems, like Fervo Energy from the States uses a closed loop system, but they're all the same. So like energy transfers through conduction. And so if you get deep down enough in like a hot sedimentary aquifer, you're able to implement it. In terms of like reskilling, if you have people that can drill wells, especially horizontal wells in Venezuela, then they can easily transfer their skills. And that's why in Alberta, which has a lot of oil and gas workers, they're able to make the transition in terms of human capital. But I know like a lot of people have left Venezuela during crisis and stuff. And so it'd probably take one like commercial demonstration project to sort of demonstrate its value before you're able to get those people back and show that, you know, this is an emerging industry that you can work in and make money. And then if anybody on my team wants to say anything for that too.
In terms of cost, like there's an estimate in our slides that's about $30 to $40 million to implement the technology we talked about. So that'd be an upfront capital investment to get stuff running. And then in terms of like the human capital and educating the people in Venezuela, we're lucky enough to be living in the age of modern technology and the internet. So it can either be a balance between online content such as Coursera that can teach just anyone with a computer the content matter. But then we can also look at, again, incentivizing private companies by allowing them to come into the country and set up polytechnical institutions where Venezuelans can go and learn the meat and all the good stuff of how to make their country thrive from the national resources they have, because it's clearly abundant. And so it's a matter of that collaboration again, of welcoming some private sector to do a little pull and take to benefit Venezuela in the long run.
And one last thing, sorry, because I know we didn't really talk to it, but for the incentives part of your question, just remembering now, you know, if you're able to incentivize some of these really large mining companies that they can hook up geothermal to their mines and use clean geothermal energy instead of like diesel or whatever they use. I know there's hydro like sort of near the mines too, but in one of our slides, we talk about how at a mine in Papua New Guinea, they were able to save $2 million per year in fuel cost savings for 50% of the power requirement. And so if you think of 100% of the power requirement, because with closed loop geothermal, if you want more output, you just scale it up by drilling more loops. And so you could just scale it up to power 100% of the power requirement of the mine. And so if you think $2 million is for 50%, $4 million is for 100%. And if it costs $30 million to implement a closed loop geothermal, as is right now, and it's going down super, super quickly in cost, then that's going to take you like 7.5 years to fully pay for it. And then after that, you save millions of dollars continually by not using diesel.
So do you think there will be more incentives to come and there would be, you could create incentives to come down here to drill wells for geothermal sources instead of gas or oil?
Yeah. So the biggest difference is with gas and oil, that's something that you're producing as like, you can also sell that to like international markets and stuff, versus geothermal, it's all about electricity. So you can sell electricity to surrounding countries, but you're more so providing energy security for people in Venezuela. Another thing that's forgotten about with geothermal is actually the residual heat. And so, you know, in Iceland, they have like an amusement park with the residual heat. In Netherlands, they're using the residual heat to warm greenhouses. And in Canada and the Yukon, at that case study of the indigenous community, they're using the residual heat to heat their homes. I know Venezuela might not need the heat, but there's also potential to use that heat for different markets. So for example, in Colorado, like in the States, it's more like mountainous. They actually have an alligator pen or like amusement park thing where you go and it's almost like a zoo where you see the alligators, and they actually use the geothermal heat from the geothermal power plant residually to like heat the ponds for the alligators to live in. So you have like alligators in the mountains.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Thank you so much, Irene, for that question. And unfortunately, we don't have time for the fourth question from Tomas, so we're going to go ahead and pivot over to another message from one of our partners. This is going to be VAPA, the Venezuelan American Petroleum Association. So again, thank you so much, Team CanRock, for some wonderful answers there. It's very interesting. And thank you to our judges for those excellent questions. We'll be back with you in a couple minutes.
Thank you, Eduardo. Just a clarification, we are showing a video by our sponsor, Citgo.
Alrighty, I guess we're back now. Thank you so much, Citgo, for that video from our sponsor. Okay, so I get the pleasure of introducing the third team before transitioning over to our other moderator for today. That team is going to be Team Ecom. Okay. Again, Team Ecom, just as a reminder, you have 2 minutes for a quick executive summary and as well as an introduction of your team, which will then transition over to questions from the judges. I'll go ahead and start your timer right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having us here. We're Team Ecom, team number 36. I am Eduardo Bernalete with my teammates, Marcel Rosales, Otto Graf, Alejandro Hum, and our mentor, geophysicist, Roderick Perez. We're a group of Venezuelan students living in Spain. We study different engineering majors at Polytechnic University of Valencia. And we're excited to talk to you about the energy solutions for the future of Venezuela. So let's begin. So there are 4 solutions. Let's begin with hydropower rescue. Hydropower is the principal source of electrical energy for the country, which has one of the largest plants in the world. To rescue these installations is a must. Now, oil and gas, as we know, Venezuela is in the top list of countries with the largest proven reserves of oil and gas in the world. For a long time, this was always an advantage, and it probably still is. But for how long is it going to stay that way? So our mission is going to recover this industry and make the most of it to base and finance a sustainable future. Now, the best way to diversify the power generation system is by exploiting the great potential of renewable resources of the country. For starters, solar radiation and wind force. Last but not least, we have hydrogen project. Thanks to the renewable energy strategy and the geographic position of the country, Venezuela can become a large-scale sustainable hydrogen exporter and open the doors for a cleaner industry and transport systems. In order to make this happen, we studied the current situation of Venezuela, where we are and where we want to be at 2050, and how much it's going to cost. Our purpose is to make the energy transition not only an ethical duty, but a profitable project that will bring prosperity to Venezuelans. Our vision is to jump from being an oil provider to being an energy provider to Europe, the Americas, and beyond. Now we open to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Team Ecom. I'll go ahead and transition over to the judges now, starting with Lorna with her question.
Thank you for a great summary slide there of your mission and objectives. I recall from your presentation that you highlighted the human capital of Venezuela, incredibly talented country with lots of very well-educated people who have fled the country. What do you propose as far as attracting those workers back into Venezuela? What role do you think that the government and industry play in attracting human capital to work on these projects?
Hello. I would like to respond that question, answer that question. Well, in order to do that, we propose to reform all the institutional changes to make attractive for all these private industries from the private industry into Venezuela in the first stage of our solutions that are the oil industries.
Yes, basically the objective is to make the companies feel comfortable with us, that make them that they can trust in our country, and yes, that we can do that changing the institutional framework. That will be the first step.
That's right. As an example, we are Venezuelans who would like to come back. We're making some experience in international lands, and we would like to come back if the conditions were true. We are a real example of that.
Perfect. Thank you very much for those answers, guys. I'm going to go ahead and transition now to Tomas for his question.
Okay, thank you. Representation. You put hydrogen as a major lever for the sustainable prosperity of Venezuela, tapping opportunistically on rapidly growing markets. But you also call for pilot demonstration projects in Paraguaná and Anzoátegui. Despite the long experience already existing in those areas on gray hydrogen generation and transforming into clean products for decades already. So if we already have the know-how in Venezuela on gray hydrogen handling, how could we accelerate your plan and become a really differentiated leader in hydrogen proactively?
Yes, as you mentioned, it's really easy to make a jump from gray hydrogen to blue hydrogen, which is the same principle, but with carbon capture, it would be more attractive to European markets, which are trying to make the energy transition to a net zero by 2050. Europe is trying to produce hydrogen by green and blue, avoiding emitting CO2. So they are not capable to make green hydrogen totally. And that's where Venezuela jumps in. Venezuela can be a large-scale exporter of this and can make hydrogen profitable. It's not going to be a project that is going to be, oh no, this is cleaner, and that's right. No, yeah, we're going to make profits of it, and we're going to collaborate with Europe, the United States, Mexico, and Brazil, and also Colombia, which is expanding its hydrogen projects to create a greener future. So Venezuela has an advantage of this in this area, a leverage to jump to blue and green hydrogen.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Tomas, for a great question. Just to let you guys know, you guys have about 5 minutes left here, and I'll welcome Temur for his question.
Thank you. So the expansion of oil extraction would lead to the shift of carbon load to consuming countries. While Venezuela can benefit financially from that and use those resources to transition to cleaner energy, the oil-consuming countries, the other countries, will burn that oil and generate CO2. So should Venezuela focus on increase of extraction of oil? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yes. First of all, of course, we know that Venezuela, his most strong industry is the oil and gas. So through the years, we will continue extracting oil from our country, but through the years, it will decreasing because the objective of our country is to have a balance between the extraction of oil and the renewable energy. So we will, of course, we will continue extracting oil, but decreasing through the years. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Temur and team, for answering that question. The last question I have for your section, you guys have 4 minutes left, is going to be from Lorena. So I welcome you to the stage.
Sorry, having some difficulties here. When it comes to wind and solar, what's the plan to store and transmit the output? Are you only considering onshore wind capacity also in the same, topic of wind and solar?
Thank you for the question. I will answer that. And first of all, we are planning to put onshore wind farms and offshore wind farms, but we're gonna start with the onshores. It's our first plan. We need a base for growing up with that renewables. Also with the solar. Solar will be divided in photovoltaic solar energy and thermal solar energy.
So what about storage capacity and transmission? What's the plan for that?
Yes, and renewable energies will be. It is a plan, half to produce hydrogen, but the other part is going to assist the hydropower systems we have, and the thermal capacity we have is going to be that regulation to make the difference of what the demand and the power generation will be. Since we know that renewables, we cannot based on that totally. So that's going to be the true division: hydropower and assisted by renewables as solar and wind, and the thermal is going to have like a lower presence as it is now, but it's going to be that regulatory capacity that is going to make the difference between power generation and real consumption.
Right, thanks.
Alrighty, thank you so much, team, for those great answers, and thank you, judges, for those great questions. Before we transition over to the next message from one of our partners, I want to remind the teams, just as you conclude your sections, please turn off your cameras to maintain the bandwidth of the presentation, also to highlight the new speakers. Any judges are welcome to keep their cameras on. That's fine. This was the last team I had on my schedule. So when you come back, you'll come back to Jean-Marie, and she'll go ahead and take the next section. So thank you guys very much, and I'll hand it back to Gustavo for another message here from our partner.
Thank you so much, Eduardo, for the transition and Gustavo for the video. Now we're going to continue with Team 38, Caracas Energy Alliance. You could start with your introduction and summary slide right now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see the presentation. Yes, now it's in shared mode. Perfect.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. We are Melissa, Emilio, Gabriel, and Marisol, and our mentor is Edwin Perez. Together, we are Caracas Energy Alliance 2.0, a holistic collaboration of committed Venezuelan citizens, but also passionate students with different backgrounds, but one common goal: deliver feasible and effective solutions to bring prosperity to our country. That is why roadmap is a multi-layered energy solution designed to work for our particular cultural context. This implies understanding Venezuela's opportunities, the socioeconomic priorities, the governance challenges, the available infrastructure, and the time it will take us to restore and build new ones, but also the importance of managing this situation while being respectful of the environment. We need to play it smart, and that's why comprehensive solutions are crucial. Combining three complementary backbones of prosperity, energy security, resources, energy, assets, and know-how, we can tackle this multidimensional challenge to finally get back on track. This new Venezuelan era will be characterized by a well-managed health crisis, secure energy supply, improved infrastructure, a recovering economy, sustainable and ethical management of resources, an energy-efficient industry and consumers. All this while building the human and tech capacity we need to diversify and enhance our energy matrix with available resources and ultimately, beyond 2050, having open arms towards undeveloped technologies in Venezuela. We need to remember that nations are built merely by its citizens, and our energy potential should be used to empower society inclusively in order to do so. This chaos is the inflection point. We need to embrace the challenge, own our history, learn from the past, and work hand in hand to bring Venezuela the prosperity it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We will continue then with the questions. Your time will start now, and first question is from Irene. Irene, you can ask your question
now. Hi, hello guys. I love the context of your whole plan. I think it was very comprehensive and really a prosperity map embedded in it. Now I have a question. One of the cultural challenges that you mentioned in your plan was energy wastefulness. What incentives would you apply to encourage energy savings in the Venezuelan consumer, who is so used to wasting electricity due to its present low costs?
Hi, thank you for the question. Yes. First, we need to understand that Venezuela has an energy demand that is almost analogous to one of developed countries. So yes, energy wastefulness needs to be addressed, and education must be in the front line, but also this must be complemented with bold policies, like incentives, economic incentives, primarily, and promoting, for example, upcycling and responsible consumption, and also process efficiency. So this is primarily the goal to address energy wastefulness.
Well, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll continue with Judge Tomas for your question.
Okay, great, Tim. You put an important focus on achieving energy efficiency, which is great, and to navigate the road to sustainability through a remarkable clean energy matrix or SEM initiative. The question will be if those initiatives will really help Venezuela to combat poverty without initially tapping on classical oil and gas industry to get the free cash flow to fund the CEM initiative.
Yes, hello. Well, we actually talked about how the evolve for a cleaner energy matrix would start maybe in 20-25 years. We know that we have hydroelectric and thermal power plants that could work to help the west of the country get more electricity. And we also know that, we have geothermal opportunities, nuclear opportunities, but it will take a long, long time to develop. And also we know, because we know people that work in this environment, that when we tried to use wind power for the national grid, it was extremely difficult to implement it in large scale. So it's not that we want energy mix tomorrow. We know that it will take a long time. If we see countries like Germany, they've been trying to be 100% green for the last 20 years, and they are still heavily relying on coal, for example. So it will be baby steps.
Yes, I also want to add that preservation of the environment should be seen as financial savings. So we need public policies that implement this new paradigm. Okay, so we have to start seeing that the companies and the businesses that have regulations regarding energy efficiency tend to be the most profitable companies and the best run companies. So this is exactly our goal.
Start. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and your next question would be from Judge Lorena.
Yeah, I agree with Irene's comments on the nice prosperity map that you presented, and following up a little bit on Tomas' question. We know hydrocarbons will continue to be an important part of the energy mix for our country. But how do we mitigate this? Have you, in terms of CO2 emissions, do you have any thoughts on the need to develop carbon capture and sequestration technologies in Venezuela? How would you do that? Where would you do it? Where to start?
Regarding the carbon capture, it's a great initiative. The problem normally with this type of technology is that it doesn't pay. Normally it's the state that pays companies to do that by lowering taxes. That's normally what happens. In Venezuela, it will be a bigger challenge. For us, we will absolutely rely and maybe increase the CO2 emissions for 10, 15 years. But it's we need to put things on a scale. People are dying. In the year 2019, we had more than 200 deaths in hospitals due to electricity shortage. So we will probably increase our CO2 emissions for a long time, and that's the reality. But we need to do that in a way to get back on track. I think we are not a polluting country, the highest polluting country in the world. We have some time left to first get back on track, get people more income, and later we can think about those types of technologies.
Yes, I also want to add that we could also have, goals such as cleaning our electricity supply. We have the potential to have a cleaner energy supply with the potential we have right now with hydropower, for example. Not only just by exploiting full potential of hydropower, we can already mitigate carbon emissions. So we do have the potential to mitigate CO2 emissions. And also, of course, addressing again what we were saying regarding energy efficiency, which there's a lot of work to do in this issue, regarding this issue.
Thank you. I appreciate the context. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that question, we completed your Q&A session, Team 38. Thank you so much for your participation. Now we'll go, while the judges deliver, we're going to go with a brief intervention from one of our partners, Switch Energy Alliance, and they're going to tell us more about what they do.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Well, I just want to say congratulations to all of the finalists. Each of you are so incredibly impressive. My name is Karina Smith. I'm the Executive Director at Switch Energy Alliance. And our mission is all about inspiring an energy-educated future. We primarily do that through documentary films. We have 2 feature-length documentary films and a lot of video content. We have a video library of over 300 videos that teach on energy topics. And I'd like to encourage each of you, because you are so specialized in the energy field, your knowledge, to join our alliance. I'd like for you to stay connected with us in a few different ways. First of all, you can follow our YouTube channel. You can sign up on our newsletter. We only send newsletters once a month, and we're always giving new resources for those of you who are interested in learning about energy. We also have a global case competition I'd like to invite each of you to apply for. We had our first international case competition in the fall of last year, and we had over 900 students from 6 continents and 170 universities all over the world compete, very similar to this. And we'd like for you to consider joining us in the fall if you feel like you'd like to join us then. But we are simply an educational platform. We have an online platform called Switch Classroom, which also is a resource for teachers to teach on energy, so that all of the world is a little more educated about energy. And I just want to thank each of you for participating in this case competition. And please connect with us. Go to switchon.org. You can see our videos there or on our YouTube channel. And please stay connected with us. I think each of you are presenting wonderful solutions, and we hope to work with you more in the future.
Thank you so much, Karina, for your participation. Now we would like to welcome our Team 54, Palapa Wetton Consulting, for them to present their solution and introduce themselves. You can start any moment. Corina, if you could stop sharing the screen.
Okay, wait. Okay, can you
Yes,
see my
we can see your screen and we can hear you.
Saiful, please?
Okay, so without further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, we're from Palapawetan Consulting from Indonesia, which consists of me, Saiful, and my friend Mahendra, Vincentis, and also Fadia, and also our mentor is Sandra. We'd like to present our solution, the START strategy, sustainable through the affordable and renewable solution for Venezuela energy development. So without further ado, let's go.
Okay, for the precondition, we need an institutional reform to fair democracy that can prevent abuse of power and we also need an economic liberalization to create a more competitive and efficient market as a precondition for our solution.
Okay, so the basic of our objective is that providing the most affordable solution for future energy in Venezuela. So that is consists of ensure the longevity, their operation, and also establish green energy comprehension for the society. So you can see in the right side there solution from and also the renormalization of petroleum industry is our main highlight, which is consists of achieving the amount of investment, which is 77.6 billion. And also our solution is that creating a one-door systems policy and also the incentive giving through several projects.
Okay, the next one is about phase one. So we will accelerate the small-scale renewable energy penetration and also continuing into the second phase, that is to expand the baseload electricity from renewable energy, for example, accelerating microhydro and using the second generation biomass. And then finally, entering the third phase that will be explained by my friend Fadia.
So in the third phase, that will be an expanding of electricity, and also we want to entering the net zero era. So before we entering net zero era, we want to introduce electric vehicle commercialization, with which we want to expand the market potential, and also we want to have an additional solution, which is advertising solution, is to educate and engaging the society and also the community to recommend advertising and marketing programs through hashtag switch from now. And so you don't have to do a lot of research. First, we just implement the research proven solution, and we consider from the monetary and economic crisis that occur in Venezuela. And we have to maximize the impact of the solution itself, and also maximizing what resource that Venezuela have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your intervention. Now it's time for the questions from the judges. Your time will start now, and the first question would be from Lorna.
Thank you very much for a very engaging proposal. I enjoyed your video. Your solutions largely focused on renewables and moving into, particularly you talked a lot about offshore wind and also other technologies. But I'm curious how important you think oil and gas will be for energy security, for the rejuvenation of an active industry and bringing investment to help fund that renewable program. And if you think that oil and gas is a longer term resource as part of your proposal, then how would you plan to offset the emissions that come from that ongoing oil and gas production?
Okay, thank you for the question. Let me answer it. So from the earlier, so we try to stabilize our political and the investor friendly, we call it. So after we get that environment where we can get the investor, we try to optimize the petroleum industry. So it is true that the PDVSA mentioned that they needed 77.6 billion to achieve their late production, which is mid-90s, I guess. So when that is happening, we get after we get the investment, we also through our solution, which is the one-door system policy and also incentive giving through several projects like EOR and also the offshore development. It is quite a step for the Venezuela to more rejuvenating the petroleum industry. And then after that, when we try to give the next of renewable solution, so basically the petroleum will become the baseload, when the renewable is not being stable, then we can back up it with natural gas, for example. But when the baseload of renewable itself is already developed, like in offshore and also something like that. And the petroleum we can focusing on increasing our revenue through like exporting like to the Trinitarian country like Trinidad or Tobago, or maybe even to Colombia, or maybe if we get the LNG plant in the Trinitarian, we can also ship it to more expand market. Maybe that's my answer.
I want to add a little bit more to Saiful's answer. So regarding about the emission from the oil and gas industry, so we also want to expand the baseload electricity that is provided from renewable energy. So therefore, the emission that comes from oil and gas will be able to, in quotation, neutralized by the growing renewable energy in the energy mix in Venezuela. So the net emission divided by the megawatts produced is going to be less. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then, oh, sorry, do you want to say something more?
No, that's enough. Thank you.
Perfect. So we'll continue with Judge Temur.
Thank you very much. So as you expand, your presentation is heavily on the renewable energy. So as you expand the number of small-scale renewable energy systems, a much smarter grid will be necessary. And smarter grid will require substantial investments into the infrastructure and also require skilled personnel to manage that grid. So how do you plan to address that concern? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So basically, we want to highlight that we also take care much about the baseload electricity. So we propose to expand more microhydro and also the second generation biomass, which is quite distributed throughout the country of Venezuela. So, and also the small scale renewable energy, for example, solar and wind that we proposed are also placed or located in the area where the potential of the baseload electricity potential from renewable energy is available in the region. So basically we can roughly balance the small scale renewable energy, for example, solar energy, with the baseload electricity that comes from renewable energy, for example, microhydro and second generation biomass. So in the local grid, we assume that it will be stable because it will be able to be backed up by those baseload electricity that we are proposing. Thank you.
Just to clarify, so you have lots of small generators, right, throughout the country, and you have to manage the flow of energy. That would require the smarter grid. So the question was the infrastructure investment into that and also the personnel to manage that.
Okay, thank you for the addition. So we are also interested in developing smart grid, but we want to put that smart grid solution as the long-term solution, as we have to prepare our financial support to support the program. And also the education is also required to order to implement those smart grid solution. Therefore, in our solution, we always highlight that education and training is the key of our solution. We always propose education and training in our beginning of every solution, for example, for solar, and also we propose to invite the experts from various energy sectors to support the implementation. So the process will be linear by increasing the ability, the competency to implement the program, and also to strengthen the financial. So when the time is come to ready to implement the smart grid technology, the country will be ready to implement the smart grid technology. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll move into the third question. Judge Tomas, you guys have 1 minute, 45 seconds.
Okay.
Then Judge Tomas will ask you the third question.
Sorry, I don't think we can hear Judge Tomas' voice.
Okay, let's stop the time and let's figure that out.
No, I think he's still on mute, perhaps.
Judge Tomas, if you're there, please unmute your microphone and say something.
I saw him speaking, but his voice not coming through.
Okay, would you like...
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Well, basically, you made a very articulate proposal on the mix, on the whys and the roadmap of the energy mix to fuel Venezuela. Hydrogen is not being mentioned as a fuel of the future, So any reason because you didn't mention hydrogen as an important player in your portfolio?
Okay, thank you. So thank you for the question. So as we shown you that our solution is research proven. So I think that Venezuela haven't experienced or maybe familiar with the hydrogen energy. So we try to give our solution about something that would like to implement quickly, and also that's what they call it, most affordable solution and also most implemented solution. So the wind energy, solar, and others is basically easier to implement in the Venezuela where it's cheap and more getting cheaper in the future. And I think it is wiser for us to focusing on how to get the affordable solution regarding the crisis that happened in the Venezuela. That's my answer.
I want to add a little bit more addition. So yes, indeed, we did not include hydrogen in our main solution. However, we still open up the possibility to just do a research for the long-term implementation, because we know that hydrogen can be implemented as the energy storage technology, for example, power to hydrogen, but it requires more research to be implemented in the national scale. So we want to highlight that our solution is basically commercially proven technology. Therefore, it will not hinder the investment and the advancement to catch the gap of the technological advancement that will be needed to be catched by our people of Venezuela. That's our answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, while the judges deliberate on your answers, we'll go to a brief video presentation from another partner, Gente Capaz.
Venimos de un país que fue hecho por inmigrantes europeos que huían de guerras civiles y de guerras mundiales, inmigrantes del cono sur que huían de terribles dictaduras, simplemente buscando un lugar donde volver a comenzar. Nuestra noble patria los acogió y se convirtió en su segunda casa. Ellos, por su parte, la edificaron y la honraron a través de generaciones. Ahora nos toca a nosotros vivir la historia que vivieron nuestros antepasados.
Somos tantos los venezolanos talentosos y capaces que estamos en el exterior, que por eso te quiero invitar a esta iniciativa que busca reunir a los venezolanos que estamos regados por el planeta. De eso se trata Gente Capaz, un lugar para demostrar de lo que estamos hechos, un lugar para sacar pecho. Es nuestra red de talento de venezolanos en el mundo. No estamos solos, llevamos nuestra patria en los zapatos.
Los venezolanos en el exterior somos gente capaz, profesionales, emprendedores, comerciantes, empleados, personas queriendo salir adelante y ayudar a otros a lograrlo. Gente Capaz es una iniciativa dedicada al desarrollo de los venezolanos en el mundo.
Gente Capaz tiene 3 objetivos de corto plazo.
Crear una bolsa de empleo venezolana en el mundo. Son muchos los profesionales, mucha la mano de obra que está siendo muy bien calificada en muchos países. Cantidad de empresas de venezolanos alrededor del mundo. ¿Te gustaría conectarte con ellas?
Crear una bolsa de proyectos de inversión. La idea es crear conexión, que inversionistas extranjeros o venezolanos inviertan en negocios con emprendedores venezolanos. ¿Qué tal conocer e invertir en proyectos de nuestros emprendedores?
Por último, deseamos crear un lugar de referencia para el trabajo que está desempeñando nuestros paisanos en el mundo, la gente trabajadora, buena y capaz que como tú desea trascender fuera de las fronteras. Honremos el legado de quienes como nosotros salieron del país a iniciar desde cero.
Gente Capaz es una plataforma para que Venezuela brille en cada punto, donde un venezolano como tú está reiniciando su vida profesional y personal.
Tú eres capaz.
Somos Gente Capaz. Únete a nosotros.
Great video from our partner. And now it's the moment where we welcome our last finalist of the day, Team 55 STEP. Please start with your introduction and your executive summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Hello. We can hear you and we can see the presentation.
Perfect. Well, hello everyone and welcome to our proposal. We, Jesus, Oriana, Carlos, and Josueli, are the STEP team. And through our framework, we plan to implement a comprehensive solution with a short, middle, and long-term approach in order to achieve energy stability in Venezuela. Our mentor is Marisoto. In the short term, we propose to maintain the current hydropower infrastructure, to have gas flaring reduction, and to develop biomass production, carbon capture and storage, and underground gas storage technologies. In the middle term, we plan to maintain the existing thermal plants and to improve renewable technologies such as wind, solar, wave power, and blue hydrogen. By the long term, we expect to implement new hydropower projects, develop current nuclear facilities, and to apply geothermal and no-tech technologies. We are aware that it requires a big investment, but we calculated that a major part of it can be covered by organizations such as CAF and the Global Climate Partnership Fund, alongside with the private sector activation and revenue streams coming from the commercialization of raw material. We went a step further and estimated a 210% coverage for the national energy demand.
And step by step, we propose strategies in our 4 main areas, starting with sustainability by implementing CCS and UGS technologies, gas flaring production, and coke microwave metal assisted extraction. Then in technology, start with the renovation of the current infrastructure and national interconnection system, but understanding that we must rely on imports to implement optimized technologies, at least in the short term. In the economic area, our plan comprises grants and loans, citizen subsidies such as tax cuts, and utility certification. Lastly, regarding people and policies, our proposal contemplates international partnerships, the creation of updated laws on the matter, and the investment on education and capacitation. In this map, we can see the energy types by region at the scale of its estimated capacity, highlighting that we will be able to have local generation in the whole country and a diversified energy mix. As for our final goal, we bring to the table a plan that achieves energy independence, net zero emissions, and economic growth in Venezuela by 2050. Also, here in this QR, you can have more data regarding STEP feasibility. Please scan it to have more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your intervention, Team STEP. We will start then with the Q&A session. The first question will be from Judge Lorena, and your time will start now.
Great presentation. I feel like you were anticipating my question here, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist. You started your summary talking about the investments and the plan for entities, right? We know we're living in a challenging situation in Venezuela. So what would be your first step to attract investors or to make them return to a country that is in turmoil?
Well, first we need to guarantee the private industry, the security for the private industry in the country. So we need to open the door for the new investors for the country. And this is really important for the energy companies want to invest on Venezuela that have very resources for the energy plants.
Okay, thank you.
Well, If you please let me, I'm sorry to add a little bit. We propose the mutual interest projects that are going to work alongside international companies with national companies, private sector and public sector, in order to generate an exchange of capacities. Being said that we can exchange human capital for investment, and this could be a highly encouraging incentive for international companies to invest in Venezuela.
Thank you so much for your answer. Then we'll continue with the next question from Judge Temur.
Yes, if we can plug in this energetic team into the grid of Venezuela, I think the country will last for quite a while. I have a question about the nuclear power. You know, the country has significant sources of specialists, investments, and inefficient government. Why would you consider nuclear power as an option? Nuclear power presents significant risks. You need, even advanced countries have difficulties managing them. The Fukushima, I guess, is one of the good examples. So what do you see the nuclear power as a source? Why do you see that as a source for potential future? Thank you.
Hello, Temur, and thanks for your question. We propose nuclear power as one part of our goal to diversify our energy grid. Obviously, it's one piece of all of this plan, but our target is to start little, mining or the rich resources that we have with thorium and uranium here in Venezuela, but step by step start developing our nuclear potential with little investments in power plants such as the one proposed in our roadmap. We believe this is a step on the right direction to diversify and to start developing new technologies in the country that will help into allowing our independence of the different regions and on different energy resources.
Anybody else in the team?
I would like to compliment a little bit there. Yeah, thank you for your question, Temur. Actually, we want to leverage on the partnerships, international partnerships that we could be having in the future. Actually, we are proposing this type of energy to be a long-term solution, but we have been having some conversations with countries such as Brazil, Argentina, and France in 2008 that they said that they will be willing to have Venezuela develop a civilian nuclear power plant, power program. So we want to leverage on those partnerships in order to have technology and know-how transfer to implement these technologies in Venezuela. And even we're also considering that before implementing the technology to have nuclear power, nuclear energy, we can start commercializing the thorium and uranium reserves that we have in Venezuela in order to get more revenue streams to apply the other solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we'll move into the third question from Judge Irene. You guys have 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Irene, are you there?
I'm sorry, I hadn't turned out my microphone. Sorry for that.
Thank you.
Well, I was saying that you have provided a very impressive matrix of different almost all energy sources possible to provide for the Venezuelan energy future solution. My question is, what power needs for development and growth do you expect to be fulfilled by your blend of energy sources in the long term in Venezuela, given the variety of energy sources that you have proposed?
Well, thank you so much, Irene, for your question. It is certainly very important to have a comprehensive matrix of energy sources. And starting in the short term, we need to understand that hydropower energy is the most reliable energy that we have today in Venezuela, being representing the 68% of the energy consumption in the country. And this is the energy that we're going to first develop in order to have a well functioning during the short, middle, and long term. As for the long term, we plan to incorporate technologies such as blue hydrogen and new hydropower projects, nuclear projects that are going to serve the country for a good energetic matrix.
But my question was, maybe it wasn't understood. Why do you think we will need in the future that much availability of energy capacity? What do you expect for Venezuela in the long term in terms of growth and development that will need that much energy capacity?
Okay, thanks, Lorena. Well, our objective in this proposal is to supply of the energy demand of Venezuela, but we want to go beyond, and in the future we can have the opportunity to export energy for countries of our region, and this is really important for us. Don't have the demand for the country, but we want to go beyond in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
We just have 10 seconds, so there's no chance for a fourth question, but you did great, guys. Thank you so much, then, for all our finalists, for completing the question and answer session, for helping us understand more about their solution and clarify the doubts that the judges might have had. Now we will move into a video with music and landscapes from Venezuela by Robert Santamaria, with music from Vitas Brenner. Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Muy buenas tardes, señor rector, querido padre Kenner, mi querido Gustavo, Elizabeth, compañeros.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties, but we'll get back to you in a bit.
Maneras que he encontrado yo con la Sagrada Biblia.
We're having issues with this particular video, stay online.
We can maybe put the one from one of the previous ones, so that the judges have more time for their deliberations, computing their individual scores from this presentation, and then they'll move into their break room so they can talk about you all's evaluations. Not right now.
Yeah, let's take 30 seconds break, sorry.
Such a nice video. Thank you so much for sharing that. So all our students who haven't been in Venezuela can get a glimpse of the country and its music, and of course for all of us to remember it. We will move to, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say have the breakout room ready for our judges whenever you are ready.
And on our side, we will move into welcoming VAPA President Carlos Sanchez, who will have some remarks.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you well.
In behalf of Venezuelan American Petroleum Association, VAPA, Switch Energy Alliance, and Gente Capaz, the organizations that conducted this competition, we want to express our gratitude to Siglo Corporation for their sponsorship that allows offer rewards to the finalist team of this of Venezuelan Energy Solution for the future international competition. Also, our thanks to the organizing committee for the extraordinary support to organize and successfully run this event. They proved that our young professionals are ready to take over, and that makes us very proud. Thanks to the public that are connected with us today through our live event, and we hope you are enjoying this event. And finally, but the most important, is a huge recognition to all the international students team that worked very hard to offer their excellent view of the Venezuelan energy solution. You all are winners, the finalists and the rest of all the teams. Our organization, VAPA, Switch Energy Alliance, and Gente Capaz will continue our effort to connect young professional talent to energy solutions for the world. And we will be announcing soon other activities related to these topics. Now, I'd like to give the stage to Horacio Medina, a recognized expert with more than 30 years of experience in the energy sector. He's a consultant specialized in the development of the new business in exploration and production of hydrocarbons and strategic planning. Also, he has extensive solid knowledge in development of new fields, economic evaluation, and in the establishment of terms and conditions for contracts. And Horacio also strongly supports the incorporation of young generation to our energy industry. Horacio, you can take the stage now.
If I may, before Horacio join us, Tomas Mata, George, please, can you go to the breakout room? You should see an invitation to the breakout room.
Tomas is asleep because he just got to Dubai after a long, long trip. Horacio.
Oh, sorry. Okay, good morning and good afternoon for everyone. I want to express my gratitude to all the organizers to their invitation to participate in this important event, especially to my colleague and friend of many years ago, Carlos Sanchez. We know that it has not been easy to coordinate the participation of 75 teams of students who applied, and they represent more than the 250 students in 16 countries. But this diversity is factor to enrichment and success to the competition. Young professionals, wow, always surprise me for their innovative approach to the common problem solution. Furthermore, I acknowledge the interest of more than the 114 energy professionals around the world who volunteer as team mentors and semi-final youth. I am sure that they worked very hard to be able to select 6 finalists. They have to review all the videos and compare the merits of the statement presented by the team, build the comparative table, and select the innovative and realistic ones. I recognize the work of the expert, and some of them I have known personally and work with them during my extensive professional career personally. Today, we had 6 finalist teams from Canada, Indonesia, Spain, and Venezuela. And shortly, we will know the final rank. After having seen the videos and knowing their work, I can say thank you for your efforts. Thanks for the 75 teams. You all are winners. All are winners, no losers, because although only 6 teams were selected for the final, and the other began what will be a future creation and innovation, because those not selected today will surely continue to improve the proposal. There is not much that I can offer today, just my appreciation and my support. But I have turned out to be a winner. Today, I have gained a lot for my hope for the future that you and thousands and the other young people will build. Finally, I want to tell you that at PDVSA ad hoc, PDV Holding, Citgo Holding, and Citgo Petroleum Corporation, you have a friend. Congratulations, and again, thanks for this invitation. It has been a great experience for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Horacio, for your words, and we're happy to have you here. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to give some final remarks. Give me a second so I can share my screen. No, that's not what I wanted. Present. Yes, you can do this. Okay. Can someone confirm that you can see the screen well?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So after watching the 52 video submissions, after working in direct contact with you guys for months, we wonder, how does the future of Venezuela would look like? Based on your solutions, what do you really propose? We want to go beyond the diagnostics, go a little further into the specifications of the crisis, humanitarian crisis, energy crisis that Venezuela is having. But let's have an exercise. Imagine how would Venezuela look like with solutions like yours, like the ones that you're proposing being implemented. So we gave you a task, a mission, to take Venezuela from present day, point A, to point B, the most prosperous Venezuela by 2050. But that road doesn't necessarily look like a straight arrow. It might look like that, with several stops along the way, deviations, different ways to do things, and achieving an equally great result, maybe even better. So from their solutions, there were specific proposals about very particular needs, and there were holistic approaches. For example, there were proposals, solutions about the how to solve power outages in Venezuela with specific case of Zulia State, or how to use renewables to power the functioning of oil rigs, also in Maracaibo Lake, or how to carry out a specific implementation of a solar farm. All of those, and the bigger ones, are equally important and have a great message. In general, most solutions, including attracting resources to finance the recovery of oil and gas industry, and with that money, those earnings, develop renewables, and then focus on reducing CO2 emissions. Finally, energy needs are human needs. So solving those problems, and it was very clear in your proposal, solving those problems, going step by step into finding a solution to those needs, is addressing the Venezuelan humanitarian crisis. So how to get there? According to your solutions, keywords are accountability, policy reform, partnerships, associations, treaties, collaborations. to rehabilitate, maintenance, and modernize current infrastructure present in Venezuela. Invest in research and development, further education incentives, stakeholder engagement. Why are these reforms important? Why renewables are important? How to handle what we have the best possible way. Practice reforestation, recycling, achieve economic diversification through the implementation of different types of energy, from fossil fuels, which is traditional Venezuelan use, hydroelectricity, to other more innovatives, all of them present in your proposals. Also techniques as CO2 injection. So according to what you sent us, the Venezuela of the future looks like a stable and attractive place to investors where they feel secure to put their money in, clear regulations, and also a framework for renewable energies. Sustainable economic growth, inflation going back to pre-recession levels, yearly GDP increase, it ranges from proposal to proposal, but up to 4% per year, a decrease in unemployment, a revamped industry sector, and a growing internal market. In terms of humans, a decrease in poverty indicators from the first measurements, no more blackouts in the short, medium term, and that would cost improved healthcare because there would be power for hospitals and doctors to provide service, drinking water for all, and lower infant mortality. People would have access to communication, internet, and different sources of information, and in the long term, achieve a high quality of life. Those solutions, in general, were a diverse energy matrix with different weights for different types of energy. For example, some solutions rely only in fossil fuels, while others rely only in renewables. So, but all had in common lowering CO2 emissions, and the degree to which that is going to be achieved range from being able to increase it to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Also, there's a common presence of growing the percentage of electricity coming from renewable energies. Even some proposals gave it to 100%. So in the end, we would have engaged and conscious citizens that would know how to handle energy resources and the environment, and would have a country that would be a reference for tourism. Now, what do these proposals have in common? As you have seen from the finalists, how diverse and how different they are in terms of the method and how to get to that final end. They have in common the community. You cannot do this alone. Public entities, Venezuelan population, in agreement with other countries, NGOs, academia and research, human resources to attract human resources that has left the country, human resources from other countries, and of course, the human resources from the country that needs employment and needs to be productive and contribute with the development of the country. Industry and private sector with tight relationships with academia and research and other organizations, funding from intergovernmental organizations, participation in those programs, as associations with organized Venezuelans abroad. There are great organizations that have been trying to promote solutions and see how they can help. Let's work together. Committed citizens of the world. This is not a Venezuelan problem or only about Venezuelans finding solutions. Do you see this event? More than half of our teams come from all over the world. Out of 52 submissions, 27 are international. So there are people, students, brilliant minds that can take 3 weeks of their time to immerse in the reality of another country that might be foreign to them and think of those solutions, provide solutions to problems that are not theirs. That initiatives that were mentioned in the project, such as crowdfunding. So what we want to take these relationships, this get to know each other, these people with the same interests, and translate that social capital into human capital, concrete actions, so we can make a difference. So what would the future of Venezuela look like from those submissions? It looks very bright if we work together. Thank you so much for your attention, and remember to participate in the fall 2021 case competition. Stay tuned for further details. And now I'll take my other hat, and I'm still the monitor. So don't forget that we'll have the final announcement from the judges, and then the event will end. So let's wait a little bit once the master judge has the final information. But as they've all mentioned, thank you so much, guys, for your interest, for participating in this, for taking your time to put these videos together that have made us so happy, seeing the diverse, the amount of solutions that are there and the passion where they've been presented. So thank you so much. And we wish you all the best, not only in this event, winners and the best possible place, but also in your professional future, because we're counting on you.
So as we speak, still we are waiting from the judges, and they are in the breakout room deliberating about the final results, and they're taking the time. Obviously, we want it to be a fair competition and have the input of every one of them and make sure that they discuss their individual scores against the a common final table judgment. So please be patient. I think we're gonna give it three more minutes and start playing one of those videos with the music. If you can take it, Gustavo, thank you.
We can have a break of a couple of minutes until our judges finish their deliberation.
Gustavo. Now, if you allow me,
Yes,
I can try to pass the video from Baba from my side to see if it's okay? Because when you pass it, I mean, it wasn't clear.
Perfect. Please.
Can you?
Yeah, if you can.
I can try. Let me see. I got it here. Let me try. Can you see it now?
Yes, perfect. And I bet in better quality. Please go ahead.
Okay, I can see it on the live too.
Thank you, Carlos. It really looked so much better.
I think Gustavo got internet band. The white band is not so good.
I don't want to say anything, but internet in Europe sucks.
And he's in London, you know?
Yeah, in London, definitely. It should be good, but obviously.
I'm in Katy, Texas. Enzo.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your patience. I'm just coming back from the breaking room, and they already have the ranking. So they're just preparing the slides. They're going to be showing up in the next 2-3 minutes.
Good.
Thank you for your patience.
I'm sure it was difficult.
It was tough.
It was difficult. I'm sure it was difficult.
It was tough. And this is a really good example about the quality of all the teams, and about how deep they thought about solutions. The delivery was key as well. So many of you guys are really well talented and showing really good presentation skills, graphics, good way to deliver the message. Thank you so much. So you making our job harder is really cool, actually.
And so, are we going to announce the order from back to the 1 or the 1 to the 6?
That's the call for the master, Judge Lorna. So she's here with us now, and she already prepared the closing speech. Remember, after she had declared all the ranking, that will be concluding the event. So we're just following the agenda, and we really appreciate all the time for all the volunteers to make this happen. We have spent already a little bit more than 2 hours. So thank you so much, everybody and teams. So of course, we're gonna be in touch with you by email, and we will, talking about how the distribution and all the details about the pricing later.
So are you ready for me, Enzo?
I think everybody's super excited and ready.
Everybody's ready.
They're ready. I think they're ready. Guys, you can show your screens if you show your videos.
Please,
yeah, show your video, please.
Gustavo, can you share the file we put on Drive in the info Drive? You have the slides with the final score.
Sure.
Thank you.
So just while we're pulling that up, I'd really like to thank everyone who's been involved with this. You know, the organization committee did a fantastic job. It's a very short time to pull this together, and to see such amazing participation from around the world is fantastic. I was just blown away by the video submissions that we saw this last few days. Such amazing creativity, you know, but also some realism too. I think that we saw a variety of solutions that harness the existing technology, that really start to distribute new technology and renewable technology, and then also push the boundaries of innovation, thinking 20 to 30 years out. I think also every team probably appreciated the difficulty of this industry and how hard it is to make all of the parameters work together. We all want economic prosperity. We all want energy reliability and security, and we all want to protect the environment. And it's really hard to make all of those things happen at once. But the solutions we saw really took those things into consideration and were very creatively put together. So thank you to all the teams we saw today. So with that, I know we've made you wait a little while. Thank you to my fellow judges. It's been a fun experience. We'll go through, I'd like to announce the 4th, 5th and 6th positions first, and then we'll move our way up to the grand prize.
Yeah, we'll let you, we'll show the podium in 1 second, please.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No problem.
Apologies. The internet is not helping today for some reason.
It's just to keep the attention in the room, you know.
Exactly.
That's right. It's a good example of why energy is important.
Yeah. But so far success, and everybody has been hanging out and no connection has been, you know, left out. So thank you.
Don't say that too loud.
Famous last words.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, I'm ready to present whenever you are ready.
Okay, so the in 6th position, we have the BET team with their fantastic solution on bioenhanced technology. Congratulations.
The screen is not coming up. Where is
the screen? Hasn't come up yet, but there we go.
I think I have, yeah, 1 second. I think there's just connection issues. Not sure why it's not showing.
Did I have to speak early?
Okay. Here it comes. I can see it faintly.
Here it comes. It's the expectation. Can you see it?
No, it's very, I don't see.
Oh, God. Sorry, John-Marie, I suggest you share on your side, because it seems that there is some connection problem.
Yes,
here.
yes, I can share. Give me
Please,
a second.
You go. Thank you.
Just hit on the share screen, John-Marie.
I don't want to create extra tension, but I cannot find it on the drive. Give me a second.
Well, given I've already announced 6th, I'm going to go ahead and announce 5th and 4th, just to lower the tension, and then we'll wait for the top 3, if that's okay.
Let's do that, yes.
That's good.
Okay, so in 6th position, we had the bioenhanced technology team. Congratulations. In 5th, we have the CanRock team from Canada. Well done. And in 4th, we had the Ecom team. So thank you again, and congratulations to our 4th, 5th and 6th placed teams. An incredible achievement when you think about the number of teams that have entered here from around the world. 75, I think we heard, was the original number. So congratulations to those 3 teams from Venezuela, Canada and Spain. So hopefully the next slide will work. We'll go through our top 3 winners. And I will point out this was an extremely close competition. Partly why we were taking so long in the background there as the judges was just really double checking the numbers and making sure that we'd calculated them correctly. Of course, the this was made up of two components. It was your video presentation and then the question and answer session today, and how well you responded to the questions and worked together as a team. So lots of different things to take into consideration. So if we can go to the next slide, we'll see our third position.
One click.
Okay.
Okay, it's even blurry for you, so you have to look closer. It's from Indonesia. It's the Pelapawatan Consulting Group. In second place, we have the Caracas Energy Alliance, and that leaves in first place Team 55, the STEP team. Woo! Congratulations to all of you. What an incredible, incredible
Congrats, guys.
Thank you very much to everyone. And so the floor is yours, maybe to.
Yes. So with that announcement, thank you so much, Lorna, and thank you so much, final judges. All of you guys did an excellent job. I know it was hard. I went to that breakout room, and you guys were discussing subjects that were tight. So thank you so much for that excellent job. I know you applied the best judgment, and you did a fair job, obviously, to make sure everybody got a good treatment. And I appreciate all the teams. All the teams had solutions that were unbelievable. Things that we haven't heard before actually came out through this. And I appreciate that point of view. And the freshness and the motivation and the vision towards the future is exactly what we need. Even though energy you think is as a surface or a natural renewable, the main energy that we need as a humans are to keep our dreams on. So let's do it.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you to the sponsors and committee.
Thank you very much for this very, very exciting experience.
Absolutely. If you join all these teams together, they can create a fantastic plan.
That would be your nuclear.
We have to bring them. We have to see how we engage them to come back to Venezuela, or to come to Venezuela and work for Venezuela.
Yeah. Well, now we got the power of the digital technology. So Venezuela is wherever we are.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Excellent initiative. Thank you for the effort, the work, and the organization and sponsors, of course. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Lorena.
Thank you so much for everything, for the organizing committee, for the competitors. Thank you so much. We're so happy.
I can see that. That's good.
You did a great job.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.